Anthony Mangnall.
Deputy Speaker, and can I start by congratulating the honourable member for the City of Chester. It was a fantastic opening speech, and a maiden speech, and I wish I could have done my maiden speech with the level of confidence that she delivered hers. And the rapid tour through the history of her city and the desire to see it as a tourist hotspot across this country will certainly find many, many colleagues across this House who will want to see her and support her in those endeavours, and I wish her all the luck in this place. Of course, Madam Deputy Speaker, it's an absolute pleasure to follow my friend from Birkenhead and fellow member of the Trade Committee, and I'd like to make my remarks around a few points towards trade, but also asking for some clarity. And I agree with his point that the power of public procurement is a necessity that we must harness and use to the advantage for businesses of all sizes across this country. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, I might also point out that it has huge value within the free trade agreements that we are signing in this country. Global Britain is about signing new trade agreements. The Australia and New Zealand bill that has been working its way through the House of Commons has dealt with this very issue on procurement, and it offers us new opportunities, not only to see other countries have the opportunity to bid into our system where we wish them to do so, but also for our own businesses, large and small, to be able to bid in to procurement programmes around the world. And the more practiced they are with our own systems, the more accustomed they will be to foreign programmes and procurement processes. And I think that's important to state. A lot of the opposition comments were made in the course of the debate this afternoon around national security and why aren't bigger companies doing more in the UK to build our defence systems. But I might just helpfully, I hope, point out that if we are including SMEs, of which there are a very large contingent of small, medium enterprise businesses that are in the defence sector, and this bill is to help SMEs, we are actually thereby helping small businesses in the defence sector to build the systems that we need in this country to keep us safe and protected. And I think it's absolutely essential that we are also aware that this bill in its entirety also creates the platform to exclude businesses that have performed badly in previous accounts, and that therefore we have the opportunity for future contracts of authorities to look at those businesses and say they hadn't performed, therefore we're able to exclude them. There's a lot has been made around the social value point, and I think we have to be careful with this. If we are too precise, we will block out businesses, we will encourage bigger businesses who can throw more money at the issue and exclude the very small businesses that we want to be able to help and support in this bill. So I welcome the bill. I welcome the fact that it's trying to achieve something that needs to be achieved in the sense that it's becoming less bureaucratic. It seeks to repeal the Utilities Contract Regulation of 2016, the Public Contracts Regulation of 2015, Concession Contract Regulation 2016, and the Defence and Security Public Contract Regulation of 2011. Madam Deputy Speaker, it is truly a wonderful day when we can see a government that is actually taking away pieces of legislation and trying to put in new, streamlined pieces of law that will actually help small businesses. And added to that, we go even further because there are 350 individual regulations from EU directives that are going to be repealed. This is, in its very core essence, going to make it simpler and easier for businesses of all sizes from across the United Kingdom to be able to bid in on a single uniform framework for public procurement. However, Madam Deputy Speaker, I have a few questions which I hope the Minister will be able to clarify for me. I'd like when it comes to small, medium and medium-sized businesses bidding into the public processes, are we making it understandable for them while also protecting the taxpayer? And will we also be providing the national service and local need to ensure that these projects and procurement processes are delivered? So with that in mind, on clause 27 and the other clauses relating to exclusions, including National Security Clause, clause 29, what would the impact of the Modern Slavery Act be on this bill, as outlined in clause 65? In the instance of Huawei, which has already been mentioned, would that be placed immediately on the debarment list? And as the Honourable Lady from Rutland and Melton said, Hikvision, would that also be included, given the evidence that has been presented across the Western world about their engagement with relation to the Uyghurs? And what's the timeline for being able to exclude businesses if they are put onto the debarment list? How long does it take to do so? The second clarification I'd like, Madam Deputy Speaker, is clause 63. We talk about the speed of appeal and how we might put a business onto the debarment list. Well, what happens if there is an ongoing investigation into a business while a tender for a local authority is out there, and that local authority decides to choose an organisation, a business that is under investigation by the government or by a minister or by an authority, and has yet to preside over that issue? What happens in that circumstances? Would a local authority be made aware that an ongoing investigation is happening? And would that therefore impact the tendering process if that business was not able to be able to give an access to what's going on? It's just small things like this, Madam Deputy Speaker, that I think would help clarify and provide a small amount of extra reassurance. A centralised information system about those businesses that have performed well is clearly a good thing. A centralised information system that tells local authorities and authorities that there are businesses that have been debarred is clearly a sensible thing. But what provisions are there to stop companies renaming themselves and then coming back for a second bite of the cherry, perhaps with a different local authority, perhaps with a different individual at the head of the company? Just small things that I think need clarification. Now, I've already mentioned the point about trade deals and signing, as we have done with the Australia and New Zealand trade deal, two landmark pieces of legislation that really do open new markets for businesses around the world. Can I just ask whether or not any consideration has been given, and this does follow on from the point that the honourable gentleman from the Isle of Wight made regarding China, whether any consideration had been given to excluding non-signatories to the World Trade Organization's Agreement on Government Procurement? And because that may shake the government a small amount with a bit of fear, because that may exclude some more friendly countries other than China, perhaps we should look at excluding those countries who haven't signed the WTA's GPA for those that we haven't signed free trade agreements with. That would allow us a way through where we're not actually offending any countries that we have got free trade agreements with or wish to sign free trade agreements with. There is a huge opportunity, Madam Speaker, in this to be able to sign new trade deals, to be able to use those deals to advance British businesses at home and abroad, but also to look at locally how we can use local produce to get into our schools and into our hospitals, as we might do with food, to look at how we can provide smaller tailored contracts to help them boost their businesses and to ensure that there's value for money. So I welcome the centralisation, I welcome the structure, I welcome the repeals, I welcome the opportunity for SMEs, and I welcome the transparency that is there, because if we can get this right, we can cut the Gordian knot that has been procurement in this country and once and for all make a streamlined system that will deliver the value for money and the opportunity of businesses of all sizes.